All right. Sometimes I'm like, sit, stand. I'll stand. That way I can see all of you. And we'll figure this thing out. The nigun that we were just singing, we've been doing it for the past number of weeks. It's a nigun, a tune that a guy named Moshe Beregovsky, who was a Ukrainian Jewish composer and ethnomusicologist, before the Second World War, went around the Ukraine collecting tunes and traditions from all of these different communities that ended up getting wiped out in the Holocaust, most of them, including his own. And that's a tune that Joey Weissenberg recorded and has been sort of making the rounds as, we do what we can do here. We've been, sending out links, donate. There's sort of restless feeling of not really knowing how to be helpful. And so as we gather here for Shabbat, I wanted to begin with that in a sense of solidarity with people who are looking for the sanctuary of peace that we're blessed to be able to find here, in our own way. And so I want to say welcome. Welcome to everybody at home. Hi. There are so many, there are people here, there are people at home who are with us, and we're so glad that you are here. This is really important. Even just seeing each other's foreheads, eyes, noses, mouths, whatever. It's just nice to be in space together and sing. So let's just take a moment to sort of catch our breath and slow down. It was cold outside getting here. It was not pleasant coming here tonight. Earlier this week I thought maybe winter's over. Ha 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 ha. No. We sort of had bets going in the office, winter's over. No, it's not. And the people who said no, it's not, definitely were right. Let's just take a moment to sort of arrive, to breathe. Let me sit up a little bit straighter. Breathe a little bit more deeply. And get in touch with why you came here tonight. Why you came out of one warm place to come to another kind of warm space, a heart space. And to begin the next 25 hours with a certain intention. So what was it? And bring it into this room. And we're going to open up these Sidurim, these prayer books. We're on page 2. Shabbat Shalom.
Lechuna
victory. צדק ועמים באמונתו. We're going to turn to 29 and stand. Or excuse me, when I say 29, I meant Psalm 29, which is like page 7. Surprise. Surprise, services are over. Good night. Mizmor LeDavid, Havu Ladonai, Nelim, Havu Ladonai, Kavod Va'os, Havu Ladonai, Kedosh Ishtachavu Ladonai, Mehadrat Kodesh, Kol Adonai, Al HaMayim, El HaKavod Yirim, Adonai,
back into your seats.
So for my own health and sanity, I have a habit of regularly going to a place where I pick up heavy things and put them down again repeatedly. And
Like my house.
what's that? It sounds like
Sounds like my house.
Sounds like your house, yeah. This is a gym. Some of you might be familiar with the gym, and some of you also might have the habit that I do of paying somebody on a regular basis to make you pick up these heavy things and put them down again in a way that really hurts. But is supposedly supposed to help your general health and well-being in the long run. And one of the things that my personal trainer likes to do is to do sets that go to failure. The idea is that you're not choosing a number, but you just keep picking the thing up until it becomes so heavy that you can no longer pick it up anymore. And he also actually likes to do these things called descending sets, where you start with a heavier weight and you keep going to a lighter and lighter weight. So eventually you are on this incredibly light weight that feels like you're trying to lift the entire weight of the world, and it's maybe 5 pounds. But the whole point of going to failure is that actually by hitting the threshold of what our body is capable of doing, we've reestablished what that threshold is, because next time you go back to that exercise, that threshold that you hit before is actually no longer the limit. That by going to failure, the limit that you encounter is actually no longer the limit that exists anymore. And I actually think of Shabbat, in some ways, as a practice of going to failure. Because Shabbat is about envisioning the world as it could be. Not the world as it is, but the world as it could be. A world where we sing loudly and we lean into joy and we find space for gratitude and we connect to each other and we just exist. What that takes is singing a bit loudly, maybe a bit off tune, maybe not knowing the words, of trying to relax in ways that maybe our bodies ourselves are not so used to relaxing, of slumping a little bit into our seats, of looking a little silly, of finding joy, of getting up and dancing and clapping and looking a bit goofy in front of each other, of pushing ourselves, of allowing ourselves to go to that threshold, to go to failure. And so I invite you as we go into this service, as we lean further into Shabbat, to allow yourself, just, especially those brave folks who've, taken off the hiding behind the mask so we actually know whether you know the words or not. The masks are helpful for that. But just try. Who cares? Stumble on the words, sing off tune, dance goofily, clap off rhythm. Why not? Because next time you come back to this space, maybe actually that threshold will have changed. And you'll have more space for joy, and more space for that connection, and more space to expand into Shabbat. We're on the bottom of page 7.
Ana bekoach gedulat yemicha, tatir tzerura, kabel rinat al chasag reinu tarenu nora. Ana bekoach gedulat yemincha, tatir tzerura, kabel rinat al chasag reinu tarenu nora.
Hmm? Okay.
Lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad hishmi'anu el amichad Adonai echad u'shmo echad v'shemo tiferet ve'letila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela likrat Shabbat lechu b'necha ki mekor ha'bracha merosh mikeket esucha sof ma'aseh v'machshavat tefila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela migdal ha'machir menucha mitini b'tov ha'bracha rav ma'ashavet ka'en b'karacha ve'hu ya'amor alaychem lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela turn at 9 Lo teboshim lo tikamim atitochachim atitudim v'yefesu amiyami v'ani betzah eratila lecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat Tifrotzi ve'et Adonai taritzi al yadi ben parti v'nismecha v'nagila olecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela olecha dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. So we stand up and we face the door. For everybody who's coming in right now, welcome. Good Shabbos. Hello to everybody who's in physical form and also the disembodied, amorphous, ethereal form of the Shabbos Queen, the Shabbos Bride. We welcome in as we open the doors, and with her the sort of breezy, relaxed shoulders and sense of being able to let go for even just a few moments of whatever might be weighing on your mind and your heart, and to be able to welcome in the possibility of a little more openness, a little more rest, a little more light. Oh, we shalom. Take a seat. It's the best. I think one of my favorite parts of the glass doors is being able to see people running circles around the welcome tables, adults and children. If you're like sitting on Spilkus and you need to move, if you find yourself like with ants in your pants, there's like a track out there. It's very small, but feel free to, get up and move. So welcome. I feel like I didn't introduce myself I don't know if there's anybody here who's here for the first time. Hello, welcome. I'm Rabbi Lizzie Heidemann. Welcome to Mishkan. Is there actually anybody here who's here for the first time? Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah. All right. So A, you get applause. Welcome. Good Shabbos. And B, it makes all of us who have been here before so happy to know who are you and where in the city do you live? Yeah. So will you stand up and then also I think it'll be easier. The people at home can sort of hear on some of these mics here. But and then for folks at home too, if you haven't shared with each other who's here for the first time, that's also super fun. Yeah, go ahead. Start this way.
Okay. Hi there. My name is Melissa. I live in Logan Square. It's really nice to be here. Thank you.
Yay. Welcome, Melissa. Ooh. Anybody over here? Yeah. Come on.
Hi, I'm Kat. I live in Lakeview, here with Bex.
All right. Such a good tour guide.
Hi, I'm Shuli. I just moved from Los Angeles.
Oh.
Sorry I'm late. I couldn't figure out where to go. Nice to be here. I've been to Ikar in Los Angeles, so that's what brought me here today. So thank you.
That's awesome. We always love making those connections.
Hey everyone, I'm Olive. I live in Garfield Park. Nice to see you all. Good Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Olive. Are you over here? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Allison. I've lived in Chicago for a while, and here you see it. It's my first time.
All right. Well, welcome. Did you say Alex? Allison. Welcome. Shabbos. All right. We missing anybody? All right. I'm happy to be here with all of you tonight. I still feel like I'm, the week is still buzzing inside of me weirdly. Do you guys feel that also? It's not just me? This whole thing that we're doing, Kabbalat Shabbat, it's like a prelude to the evening service, the way that services are designed. Mari of the evening service happens every night, and the one that we do tonight is not fundamentally different from any other night of the week. It's just on Shabbat, the rabbis added this whole section of singing on the front end,
I think so that you wouldn't just rush through it all, and so that you'd like actually stop and breathe, because if you're singing, you need to breathe, and all of that as like an off-ramp from the week into, you know, if we're lucky, 24 or 25 hours of actually having a little lower key day, whatever Shabbat might look like for you. But sometimes I feel like it's not enough. Do you know what I mean? Like the off-ramp is not enough. Like here we, you know, so however you may still be sitting in your seat buzzing a little bit with the week, it's all okay, it's all good, and I just invite you to continue to sort of notice it, breathe into it, and let it go, and let it fly away into the crevices and cracks of the beautiful, you know, stained glass windows on this homey Unitarian church. Anyway, there's a little bit going on in the community to share with you, and so I just feel like, you should know, we're not on tomorrow morning for Shabbat, but we are next Saturday morning. We sort of stagger Friday nights, Saturday mornings. We have morning minyan every single week, or day of the week, Monday through Friday, and it's always an adventure.
Yeah.
Many of you are part of it. And what else? Well, I feel like I hesitate. All right, if you want to if you've gotten your ticket for Purim, Mazel Tov. If you haven't, you can log online because we're at capacity. I hate to say, so yeah. That is what I
Nothing
have
is
to
stopping
say.
you from putting on a costume and having a good time Wednesday night and saying the word Haman and then booing yourself or stomping as you speak. Like,
Boo. But the spiel, the Megillah, everything that we're doing in person will also be online. But what else? You guys are doing classes.
yeah. Can I go first?
Sure, yeah. We're doing some good social justice stuff coming up. On this Sunday, I will be part of an interfaith panel on climate change at Lincoln Park Presbyterian Church, but will also be live streamed. Information on the calendar. And then in a few weeks, on the 27th, our economic justice team will be getting together. There's a Northside Town Hall where they'll be hearing about the Bring Chicago Home campaign, which is to help end homelessness in Chicago. We're going to be having a watch party. This individual right there is the person to talk to. Are you hosting it? I don't know. No, we don't know. Okay.
Maybe be at my house.
Yes. Exactly. So there is a QR code to register, so you can go chase the flyer down.
Not a plan.
And on Wednesday, the 30th, 18 Doors and Mishkan are collaborating on a panel. If people are curious about learning about the conversion process, if you're curious about conversion to Judaism, if you are actively converted to Judaism, it'll be a panel of both rabbis and folks who have converted before to answer questions about that. More info online. What are you doing, Rabbi Dina?
I'm really actually spanning the spectrum here. So if you are a parent of a baby 12 months and under, or you know someone who is, we have another round of Build Your Village baby groups starting on March 26th. And registration will be opening for that this week. If you are a parent of a child 13 to 36 months, we've got a toddler cruise and schmooze on Saturday the 19th, so next week. And if you are interested in learning the Eish Kodesh, this is a bad transition, I'm sorry, there's no way to do this. The Eish Kodesh was a Hasidic master who was interned in the Warsaw Ghetto and wrote about Judaism in the face of suffering.
Is that for the toddlers?
And that is if you are free at 11 a.m. on Thursdays starting on March 31st. I couldn't... Ideally, you're out of diapers.
Yeah.
Let's call this program Out of Diapers and Up. That is starting on the 31st. We'll have some nosh and schmoozing at 10:30, and then we'll dive into the Eish Kodesh, who is a brilliant, brilliant thinker. He has the entire canon of Jewish text in his head, and he's making sense of Judaism through the Hasidic lens of love and joy while interned in the Warsaw Ghetto and watching his family and community die, and he's processing that. So it should be pretty intense and pretty meaningful, and that is not a baby program, but rabbis do all sorts of fun things. Yeah. There's no way out of that. Sorry.
Great. Shall we daven, Mari?
Yes.
Okay.
Please stick me out of the hole. I took myself.
Okay, we're gonna stand. All right. Great, wonderful. Let's stand and turn to 13.
Thank you.
And we turn and face east as we go into the Baruch
Is that this way? East is actually that way.
Oh, great.
Yeah. No, you all got it. Yeah.
All right, and in honor of Adar, I'm wearing my invisible talit.
All right. Invisible.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
Take a seat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidbaro ma'ariv ha'avim b'chokmah potach sha'arim u'levonav sheneitim. Chalifat hazmanim מסדר את הכוכבים במשמרתם להכיר כרצונו.
מעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו מלך חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני המריב הרבים אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך הבטחת תורה מצוות חוקים ומשקים ותמדים ורשמית על כן אדוני אלוהים שוכבים כל מיני ושיח וחוקך ונסביר כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגע יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. Go ahead and cover your eyes. Take a deep breath in, filling yourself up with all the energy around you.
Continuing at your own pace on 16 and 17. V'chayim Shemuel tishmu mitzvotai asher anochi mitzaveh etchem hayom. V'ahavah Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavchem v'chol nafshechem et ha'tamat acharatechem ito yorei u'makosh. Pick up in a moment, bottom of 17. We're at the bottom of 18. Page 19. All together, Zayli. So earlier this week, I'm not actually a very active social media user, but I logged on and I saw a video that one of my old camp counselors, Ariel Karen, had posted. Ariel is a clown. Like literally his job, he is a clown. And he works with an organization in Israel called Dream Doctors. He goes to hospitals, he does his clown stuff, he cheers up children, it's very great. And he posted a video that he and several other clowns from Dream Doctors were on the border of Moldova and Ukraine, greeting refugees who were fleeing Ukraine, trying to cheer them up. Did you see his videos? They're amazing. And he posted this video of him and a couple other clowns basically like marching around this, it looks like maybe like an abandoned stadium, and there's just kids swarming, like little kids swarming after them and giggling and poking his little red nose and doing silly things. And I think it was the most affecting thing that I've seen coming out of the situation in Ukraine. Because it was just kids doing a kid thing. Running around, chasing a clown, and giggling like crazy. And it was this reminder to me that like, yeah, giggling, it's really important. It's really, really important. And I think that that idea of like, so Ariel posted, he said, I can't fix this situation. He said a little bit more, but I can continue to make kids laugh. And
And I think that's actually a little bit what we're praying for when we say Hashkivenu, when we say Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha, spread over us your shelter of peace. We mean the little peace, the ability to continue to find laughter and joy and connection. And we mean the big peace, the cessation of war, the fact that no one should have to become a refugee, the fact that these kids shouldn't have been chasing this clown in the first place because they should have been able to be safe in their homes. And Shabbat prompts us to do that by reminding us that Shabbat is a taste of the world to come. So we taste this little nibble, and then the idea is that we remember and savor that flavor, and we keep pursuing it again and again and again, more and more. So I want to invite you to join me in praying for a big and a little piece tonight. In praying for moments of levity, of laughter, of cessation of pain and suffering, of connection, and in praying for a big peace where we don't need to just look for little moments. That we want the whole thing, the whole kit and caboodle, right? Nation shall not know war anymore, right? To take this taste from Shabbat, say the taste is good, I want the whole dish, but that doesn't mean I don't appreciate the little bit that I'm getting right now. And if you want to, as we say Hashkivenu, murmur a name, a series of names of someone you know who could use a little and a big piece, a little healing, a little bit of respite, a big healing, a major change, a complete cessation of their suffering, I invite you to share those names with someone sitting near you, or just under your breath as part of the prayer. Make their names and their needs part of this prayer. Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha. May we get a little and a big peace.
Amen, amen,
Soon.
amen.
Ufros Aleinu Sukat, Sukat, Shalom Mecha, Ufros Aleinu Sukat, Sukat, Shalom Mecha, Shalom, we sing Shalom, 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 we sing Salam, 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 Salam. Let us bring peace, let us bring peace, let us bring peace, let us bring peace, let us bring peace. Shalom, 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 shalom. Ufros Aleinu, go ahead. Ufros Aleinu, Sukat Shlomecha.
Bottom of 19.
Baruch atah Adonai, haporei Sukat Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. We stand 20. V'shamru
B'nei Yisrael
et
ha-Shabbat,
la'asot et ha-Shabbat, ledorotam
personal Umidem, which is done quietly, starts on 21. The custom is to stand, to face east, to take 3 steps backwards, 3 steps forwards, and to have some personal time. You can use your personal time with the book, goes 21 to 27, or you can kind of use this space for your own prayers and meditations. When you're ready, when you're done, take a seat. I'm just going to hold this. Okay, so continue for those of you who are still in the midst of your Amida. Go ahead and do your thing. So this coming Wednesday night, as discussed, as the full moon rises, Jews all over the world will gather to celebrate the fun and singularly bizarre holiday of Purim. And we will show up in costumes and masks, like the kind of mask that you would have thought of before a global pandemic. And we will eat and drink and celebrate life, and we will fulfill the mitzvah of hearing the Megillah, the book of Esther, from a handwritten scroll on parchment. And if you've ever been to a Megillah reading before, then you know it's not like attending a docile poetry reading or like book talk, or it's not even like hearing the Torah read on Shabbat. It's more like attending a midnight viewing of Rocky Horror Picture Show, you know, or like watching Frozen with anybody born after 2009. You know, like it is a participatory experience is what I'm saying. You know, there are lines that you read or shout along with the person who's reading. There is the custom, of course, of booing a particular name of the particular character. I feel like I've forgotten. Who is it?
Haman.
Boo! Adira made this on Shabbat, on Sunday at Mishkan. This is her grogger. It's made out of rocks. It's like very dangerous.
I'm really worried it was going to
Very dangerous. Okay. Okay, so this custom of blotting out Haman's name. So what we did, yeah, exactly. Thank you. So blotting out the name of the villain is not just like Purim theatrics, although it works for Purim. You might have heard this in other Jewish contexts too. Whenever the name of a villain is said, especially in more observant circles, you will hear the person who said it say, Yamach Shemo, may his name be erased. So, you know, when teaching about the Holocaust and you mention Adolf Hitler, you would say Adolf Hitler, Yamach Shemo, may his name be erased. Which is like the opposite of, you know, if somebody has died, may their memory be a blessing. which is, sort of the nice opposite, which totally makes sense, because if you're saying their name and you want to remember their name nicely for a blessing, it's say their name. If you want to erase their name, why did you say their name in the first place? Like, actual question. If you want their name to be erased from the world, if the person they were, what they stood for, their villainy was so terrible, why say their name at all? So, one obvious answer is like, well, if we didn't say Haman's name, then when would we shake our grog or drink during the Megillah reading? But this is an actual paradox, this sort of what we say and what we don't say, and how we remember and what we don't remember, and what we choose to remember and how often we say what we remember. So this paradox is lifted up in the reading that we do every Shabbat before Purim. So the Shabbat before Purim has a name. There are certain weeks on the Jewish calendar that have names, and this is one of them. It's Shabbat Zachor, which means the Shabbat of remembering. And it's not just a thematic sort of headline. It's named for the particular verse in the Torah. I'll read it to you in a second. It comes from Deuteronomy. And before I read the verses to you, the context is that Moses is giving over to the Jewish people before they go into the land of Israel, Moses' last instructions to them. And these are the children of the people who all walked out of Egypt, right? The people who walked out of Egypt had experiences, they saw things, they did things, they witnessed all kinds of things. They built a golden calf, and ultimately, they were not prepared. Sort of God deemed them as unprepared or not ready to go into the land of Israel. It needed to be their children. And so Moses is actually talking to the children of those people, and speaking to them as a you. So, I'm speaking to all of you. And Moses knows he's not going into the land with them. Moses knows that he's actually also been deemed unworthy by God to go into the land, and so he's trying to give over everything he can give over, knowing that he's not going in with them. So he says to them, among other things, among many, many, many other things, Zachor, remember, et asher asalecha Amalek b'derech b'tzeitchem mimitzrayim. Remember what Amalek did to you on the road out of Egypt. How, undeterred by fear of God, he surprised you on the road when you were hungry and tired and cut down all the stragglers at the back of the line. And so, when God grants you rest from all your enemies around you in the land that God is giving you as an inheritance, you will blot out the memory, timche et zecher Amalek, from under heaven. Lo tishchach, don't forget. You see the problem here, right? Okay, so let's just peel the onion back a little bit. First, who is Amalek? You know who Amalek is? Amalek ends up getting basically credited, or with infamy for the rest of time, with basically any evil character who comes to pursue the Jews at any point in history is a descendant of Amalek. Say the sages. But where does Amalek start? Amalek starts in the Torah. And is this marauding band of warriors that attacks the Israelites as they're leaving Egypt, and as the text says, picks off the old and the weak and the infirm and the people who are at the back of the line. They're cruel and inhumane. It's not nice. You don't empathize with Amalek. They seem like they're just aggressing a people that wasn't doing anything to them in the story. And so the text says to the children of the people who were there, you're going into the promised land where you will be safe, which is also not true. But when you're there, erase the memory of Amalek. Don't forget. Okay, so you already kind of got the paradox here. Remember, forget, remember, erase. I know my grandma Alice was not unique, for example, as a survivor of Nazi Germany. When she came to America, she did not talk about what she went through as a Jewish teenager under the Third Reich. Didn't talk about it. And many families share that story. And they started new lives in safe places and tried to erase the memory. So you know what that's like, and you know what it's like to try to remember a memory or a past trauma. You tell stories about it, you share about it. So these are two very different orientations. right? One, when you find yourself in a place of safety, says the text, you will remember what was done to you. The other is like, when you find yourself in a place of safety, erase the memory of what was done to you. So I want to actually pause. What do you do with this? Like, this, much Jewish commentary ink has been spilled over this question, but like, just sort of hearing this and knowing what you know about the world and about yourself and about memory and about sharing and about story, like, what do you do with this? Just like, go ahead and raise your hand. Yeah, please. And Nancy, it's okay. Hi. Please.
Well, if you have to remember that you blotted something out, then even if you're making it an empty place, like your grandmother doesn't talk about it, you remember that the empty place is there. Yes. It's kind of like a reserved spot for a thing that you don't talk about, but you don't forget that empty spot is there.
So there is no paradox because you're remembering it, and by erasing it, you're creating a space where the memory was and where everyone around you knows something was there, even if it isn't the memory, the specific memory of the thing that you used to remember but now forgot.
I think that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, I don't know if that's true that it completely erases the paradox, but yes, yes, I think that there's a space there is the important thing.
Creates a space. Okay. And is that space like a positive thing or actually kind of a problem?
I don't know, and I don't know that it would always be the same answer.
That's right. Yeah. Sorry for everybody who's hearing at home. Nancy said, "Well, I don't exactly know, and I also don't know that it would be the same in every moment." Could see times when it could be a problem, and sometimes when actually it's like self-protection, like important self-protection. Yeah, Joshua, what were you going to say, Josh?
Just to add either one. Yes, I can see for some people it's too painful to talk about. So, but if we don't talk about it, then the pain can't go anywhere. It feels like, and I think you and I actually talked about this a year ago when I can't remember the people who inscribe a Sefer Torah. The first thing they do is write the word Amalek and cross it out. And that's the tradition.
We didn't talk about this because that's really cool, and I didn't know that. Yeah, sorry. For the people at home, Josh said when the scribe is writing a Sefer Torah, is writing the Torah scroll by hand, the first thing they do is they write the word Amalek, and then they erase it. They cross it out. Right? So
not burn it.
Right.
So there's something in maybe aspirational in being able to forget it. Will we get to a place where we don't need to remember it anymore? But we have to actively get there.
That like seeing the name and seeing the line through it reminds you that there is a story there, and that there is a story we are trying to forget, but that maybe we can't forget.
And
for any number of reasons.
Somehow is the path to get past that aspect of humanity.
Did you say, and remembering that and knowing that, like, actually is part of the pathway forward? Because if you don't talk about it and you don't reckon with it, then you don't move anywhere. You don't go anywhere. Sorry, did I miss? Yeah, please.
Oh, yes, in response to that. This may be a bit of a stretch, but what if you take erase to mean go build a world that is better than where we came from?
Okay, so Catherine says erase doesn't mean a negative thing exclusively. It means go build a world where the name of Amalek isn't said because injustice has disappeared.
Said it better, yes, exactly.
Beautiful. I mean, that's beautiful. Love it. Love it. All right, here we have one, and then, did I miss? All right. All right, well, I'm going to go over here, and then I'm going to come back here, okay? Did I miss a hand back here? Never mind. Okay, Stephanie, it's all you.
I was going to actually respond to you and say, but like also, what if erase is actually providing a container for rage?
For rage?
Yeah, right? Like, I mean, if you have trauma in your background, or you have anger or rage or whatever, like, it has to go somewhere.
That's right.
And to be able to name something, even though you're erasing that name, it provides a literal container to put the rage, because it has to go somewhere, right?
Okay, so Stephanie said, by erasing the name, it gives you a container for rage, because, like, if Amalek has happened to you, you are traumatized by that, and you have a right to be angry, but you need to put that anger somewhere. because otherwise it threatens to take up all the space. And so you put it into erasing the name, whatever that means. Maybe like saying to Haman, right? I mean, it's like the funny version, but something like that. All right, you can see how excited I am about this holiday. All right, like one more, and then we'll keep moving. Yeah.
Maybe taking away the glory from the person who did the bad deeds, but just remembering that bad things happen.
So Ruthie says, taking the glory away from Amalek, from the perpetrator, and restoring it to you who has agency, who
Like
can
when we
now.
talk about like serial killers and things.
Ah, great. Thank you. All right. So I feel like right now this is a little bit more relatable than when we read, sort of the Torah is full of stories about what happened to them, but Amalek is sort of ever present in the minds of the sages of the tradition. So, okay, as with any moral binary, forget, these appear to be opposites, and actually it's a yes. It's a yes. It's both and. And the art of creating a spiritual life is knowing when to apply which strategy, having the presence of mind and the, sort of being in the moment enough to know in what measure and how to apply remembering and forgetting and how to do it. And the art of a Jewish spiritual life is knowing when to bring our story, like our particular story, and actually, like, depending on, how you are, who you are, those stories are not all the same. They're quite different. People from different parts of the world and from different traditions have very different lineages of Jewish history, and therefore also of trauma and suffering, in our background. And then we, of course, have all of the ones that we share that come out of our canon of Jewish holidays, including, of course, Purim, which is where you get the sort of joke, right? What's the theme of every Jewish holiday? They came to kill us, we survived, let's eat, right? Which is funny because it is true, and then it's like, oh my God, is that really what our tradition amounts to? And if it is, that kind of feels a little problematic. Like, is there nothing else that we stand for other than survival? But also, we are still here, and that is something to celebrate. But we also don't want to let the trauma of our collective past cloud or, God forbid, like corrupt our way of contributing to the future because we are stuck in our past, right? Sorry?
Let's eat means we're not stuck.
Let's eat means we're not stuck, or at least maybe we're trying to not be stuck. Yes. So there are many Jews, you might know some of them, you might be one of them, whose identity is kind of staked on the first part of that verse, on the remember piece, remembering past trauma of Jewish peoplehood. The recent Pew study done in 2020 said that 76% of American Jews believe that remembering the Holocaust is an essential part of what it means to be Jewish. That was the highest percentage of Jews agreeing on anything. And for many of these folks, remembering the Holocaust is not just a matter of like looking at our history of oppression. It's knowing that it's just a matter of time before Amalek rears his ugly head, right? So Rabbi Sid Schwartz calls this kind of Jew a tribal Jew. And he doesn't mean that in a pejorative way. He means it as a descriptor, that tribal Jews understand the world through a lens of historic persecution of our tribe, right? Of people who attacked us for reasons none other than we were Jewish. And we did nothing to earn that. And therefore, we need to rely on ourselves fundamentally for survival and for protection, because when push comes to shove, no one will be there for us when we need them. That's sort of the next where you could take that next, and where often people do. If you've read Dara Horn's book, her book People Love Dead Jews, I recommend it. Very provocative title. You actually understand why it's not an unreasonable thing for a person to think, even in America in the year 2022. However, when our primary orientation or identity as Jews is only through remembering a traumatic past, this leads to living in the present with a constant low-grade anxiety, or maybe mid-grade anxiety, or maybe paranoia, that we are constantly about to be slaughtered, and that cannot possibly be true all the time. And we know that we don't make good decisions from a place of fear, right? So this is sort of the danger of living in that mindset, is constantly living in a state of fear and making decisions out of a place of fear, which is not how we make sound judgments and choices. Okay, Rabbi Sid Schwartz talks about another kind of Jew also. He talks about the covenantal Jew. And the covenantal Jew is the person who stakes their identity not on history so much as social responsibility, right? The idea of a covenant between the Jewish people and a higher power that obligates us to make the world a better place, right? It's very universal. It says, out of our Jewish tradition, we have an obligation to go heal the world. And covenantal Jews, as it turns out, are 72% on the Pew Report. 72% of Jews in America believe and can agree on ethical and moral action as being an essential part of a Jewish identity. So, of course, it's not either or, it's both and. And most people are some combination of both and also, you know, like the last binary, this one's false also. It's not, should we worry about ourselves or should we worry about the 99.72% of other human beings on Earth, right? We're teeny weeny little people. And so it's fair that we should worry about ourselves, and also it's necessary for us to be in community with and constantly caring about the health and welfare of the people around us. And bringing our moral imagination, the moral imagination that we have brought to ourselves, to those around us. And so I guess I just, in anticipation of Purim tonight, wanted to share how this holiday, that I think is such a fun holiday, but it's more than fun, is actually a blueprint for doing this, holding both the remembering and the forgetting, and the tribal and the covenantal, with joy. And how to not let our history of victimhood come to limit our actions in the present, how to instead leverage it on behalf of others. So I do this every year. I explain the 4 mitzvot of Purim before Purim so that you know what they are, so that you can do them, and because I think this holiday is genius. So here they are. They're not a lot. There are 4. 1, hear the Megillah. 2, have a party. 3, give gifts, tangible gifts of food to people you know. You could do like 2 items of food to 1 person, but like the more the merrier, the more the better. And then finally, 4, give generously to the needy. That's it. Hear the story, party, share food, give to the needy, end scene. Some people say there are actually 5 mitzvot because you're supposed to party both in the evening and in the morning. Okay? And so the sidebar, little sidebars that you might make the mistake of thinking that Purim is a frivolous holiday because of the costumes and because of the partying, right? Anybody who calls it the Jewish Halloween because of the costumes and the partying is like missing the deep and even disturbing reasons why Jews created this holiday. And if you read the story, you see that we created this holiday. This wasn't actually given from God because there is no God in the Purim story, as it turns out. It is an ancient biblical farce. It is sort of recognized by scholars even as kind of Saturday Night Live of the ancient world, you know? And like playing off of the fears and anxieties and also the fantasies of Jews in the ancient world. And so you get sex and drugs and partying and, genocide, and also revenge and power. And you get like male insecurity paired with female power in the shape of like sexuality or not, or like there's so much happening in the story. There's like all the things. And it's like a delightfully funny story. And it invites us also to hold kind of the messy contradiction of being at once a minority and sometimes a persecuted minority, and also having power and status and access to authority. You know, holding both at once. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I invite you to listen to the Megillah with new ears this year, or look at it with new eyes. It's all in there. It's a crazy story. Okay, that's the thing about listening to the story. It's our story, and in every single year, it relates to something happening in the world in a different way. You'll see the story and you'll be, how did they know? How did they know in 2016 to write a farcical tale about a leader who loved to throw parties, who had a, sort of penchant for women and money and complete disregard for the rules of law? How did they know that? Well, King Ahasuerus was a lot like, and every generation, in this space in 2016, our 2017, it was a few months after Trump got elected, our party that year was Revel for the Resistance, right? And the whole theme of the party was how we maintain joy in the midst of fear, right? You were there for that. Having a feast, mitzvah number 2, seems like it needs no real explanation, but it's worth saying this holiday, Purim, is compared to Yom Kippur, which is weird because Yom Kippur is on the other side of the calendar. You don't eat, you don't drink, you don't wear costumes. In fact, you do exactly the opposite. You fast, you strip down. But they're considered the same holiday, not just because of the name, Purim, Yom Kippurim, day like Purim, because at the end of the day, they both sort of focus on or lift up the fact that we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Right? We didn't know what was going to happen 2 weeks ago. The world has changed in fundamental ways over the last few weeks, in ways nobody could have predicted. Right? I couldn't have predicted, maybe somebody could have, but that states would be rolling back rights for women and LGBTQ people and trans people in 2022? Like, in modern America? I mean, maybe I shouldn't be surprised, but I'm surprised by this, right? The war in Ukraine, obviously, it boggles the mind. The Purim story says, v'nahafochu, things turn on their heads. You wake up one morning and the world is a different place. And so while on Yom Kippur, the solution is austerity, is forgiveness and apologies and trying to make right with the world and with everybody around you, on Purim, it is like eat, drink, be merry, life is short. You don't know what tomorrow brings. And we have both of these as poles on opposite sides of the calendar, sort of extremes. And one day we do this, and one day we do this, and we lean hard into each, and then the rest of the year we spend in the gray. Right? This is sort of how the technology of the Jewish calendar works. This is why I say it's sort of genius. The last 2 mitzvot on some level don't really need explanation. Give to your friends. Give to the needy. This isn't all about us. This story isn't just about indulging our history of pain and oppression. It's about leveraging it to give. And if you need the tradition to tell you that on this day, give more, says the tradition, right? Don't just come and wear a costume and shake your grogger and drink. That is fun. You should do that. It's a mitzvah. Also, donate and give. Right? Like if, on most days you're driving by the intersection and there's somebody there who, is going to be there because they're always there. This time, put money in the car to give away as much as you can. The tradition actually says give more than you usually would. Give excessively. Give ridiculously. It's Purim. And maybe that trains us to be just a little more generous the rest of the year too. Oh, that wasn't so bad. I could do that again. So that, my friends, is the recipe. While booing Haman is a custom, those things that I just mentioned are actually mitzvot. They are religious commandments of the holiday, and while it's not exactly a scientific breakdown, spend 25% of your life telling stories and 25% giving money away, and it's not exactly like that, but I actually think that if you think of those 4 basic mitzvot as a rubric for an integrated Jewish identity, one that holds on to the past but isn't defined by it, I think we live a more balanced, integrated life that we can apply as a lens to everywhere else. And interestingly, the rabbis of the Talmud say that one day when the Messiah comes, when we've all done our homework and all like gone out into the world and transformed it so that we've erased Amalek from the planet, Purim will be the only holiday we still celebrate. We won't need any of the other holidays. We will only have Purim. And that can be your conversation over dinner, you know, or over snacks after. They're like, why on earth this holiday? And one idea is because maybe this holiday actually encapsulates the Jewish tradition completely. The whole philosophy, the whole idea behind it, it's all in this holiday. And so I want to just say Chag Sameach, Chag Purim Sameach, it's coming up. And I want to bless each and every one of us, each and every one of you, that you know where you come from and what shaped your family before you and who you are. And I bless that we can take those stories of pain, our family's pain, our own, and turn them into something we can give to others. Turn it into, like alchemy, sweetness and love that we can share with the rest of the world. That's it. That's it. Amen, amen. I want to invite us to stand. And I want to teach you this song that comes out of, it's from the prophet Isaiah actually, but it's a Purim song. The words are, Utzuetza v'tufar. You can scheme your schemes, you can plan your plans, and they will come to nothing because God is with us, even though God's not in the story of Purim. So it sounds like this.
Oh
שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. זבולותי שמיים ויוסר הארץ ומושב יקרה בשמיים ממעל שכונתי זו במקום מרומים הוא אלוהינו אינו דמת מלכנו אפס ומתוק. Continuing on 33. Bottom of 33. I want to invite anybody who's saying Kaddish, if you're remembering somebody tonight, to stand. If you're remembering somebody and you're online, you can stand too and go ahead and share the names of the people you're thinking about, and we can do the same here.
My great uncle Lester.
Yehi zichronam livracha. May their memories be blessing. Kaddish Yatom is on 34. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei rabbah be'alma divrach cheruteh v'yamlich malchuteh b'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael b'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru. Yehi shmei rabbah mivorach le'olam u'lamei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudsha le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imru. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'ramav Yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. 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 Perfect timing. We're going to close out with a prayer for peace. I want to say to everybody, you are invited to stay for wine and seltzer and snacks. And if you do not want to do that, I'm so glad you came tonight, and as you're leaving, I hope you will say hello or goodbye or Shabbat Shalom to at least one person you did not come here with tonight, so that you know one person the next time you come back. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. So nice to be here with all of you. Let's pray for peace. 34. Let's stand. Let's stand. Say shalom b'roma, say shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru,
Shalom.